This right here is the river in which Virginia Woolf drowned herself. Oh my God, there she is! Hello. Today we're here with renowned author, writer, journalist, and above all person, Virginia Woolf. So Virginia, tell us, how does it feel to be alive again? Alright then, maybe we should just move on. So Virginia, why don't you tell us a little about yourself?
I was born in London, England, in the year 1882. My mother was Julie Stephen and my father Leslie. My father was a historian, and he hoped of becoming a philosopher. My father encouraged me to read, and he taught me very much. Both of my parents died when I was at a young age. I also faced a lot of other bereavements during my childhood. My cousin Jem was sent to an insane asylum, and my half-brothers sexually assaulted me. I moved in with my aunt, and she encouraged me to become a journalist. We lived in Bloomsbury for about 5 years. In 1904, I published my first essay, and my career in writing began. From 1904 to 1909, I traveled around Europe becoming a journalist. I then joined the Bloomsbury Group.
Bloomsbury Group? Well, that sounds very interesting. Why don't you expand further on this subject?
The Bloomsbury Group was where I met my husband, Leonard Woolf. The Bloomsbury Group was a group of artists and intellectuals who were devoted to the ideas of art and philosophy, who became famous for the 2 decades following my joining. You could say we encouraged a liberal approach to sexuality.
Liberal, you say, huh? Well, is there any way I can get in on this? Alright, moving on. I was reading something called the Hogarth Press. Please tell me a little bit about this and your career.
In 1917, Leonard and I bought a second-hand printing press. We set this up in the basement of our house, named the Hogarth House. Together, we began printing and publishing the Hogarth Press. Throughout the 30s, I continued to write and publish novels. Then, in 1941, I suffered a serious mental breakdown.
Aye, and as many of your fans know, you committed suicide, unfortunately. Please, tell me about this.
I attempted suicide many times before this, but this time, I succeeded. I did so by filling my pockets with rocks and walking into a river by my house.
Wow, how very fascinating. So when did you realize killing yourself was a bad idea? Alright, moving on. My main reason for bringing you back to life is because I want to discuss with you my favorite piece. A Removable and Zone is my favorite book, especially the chapter entitled Shakespeare's Sister. Would you mind summarizing this for me and many of our other viewers who are watching this right now?
Well, in my piece, I begin by introducing the question of why women did not write poetry in the Elizabethan age. This fact is mainly because of the different lives between men and women. Women were generally uneducated and poor, unlike their male counterpart. In fact, a bishop once said that no woman could ever equal the same genius as Shakespeare. I completely agree with this. To explain our reasoning why, I create an imaginary character named Judith Shakespeare. This woman is Shakespeare's sister. In this section, I discuss how Judith was not formally educated, but was still able to read and to write. She was forced to marry a man whom she didn't love, and she refused to do so. After being beaten by her father, she ran away to pursue the same career as her older brother. Upon reaching London, Judith makes her way to the theater in an attempt to become an actress. Men laugh and scorn at her, and once a man feels sorry for her. She is then impregnated by this man, Nick Green, and commits suicide. This technique that I used is known as invented biography. My point is to show how women were treated differently from men. They did not write often because they were not smart enough. It was because they were looked down upon and were greatly affected by the views of men. In fact, most women either concealed their names with male names or signed their work anonymously. To write a great piece, one would have to complete focus on his or her subject. Unfortunately, there are many interruptions that can diminish this from happening. The sheer fact that women face the same misfortune as men while writing, plus the many prejudice for men, shows the negative impact of males on women. I wrote A Room of One's Own to show this unfair advantage of men, and to reveal how women are forced to deal with the pressures of society.
Truly fascinating. Absolutely amazing. But if you don't mind, would you mind analyzing this piece for us?